It's Thursday, June 12th, 2025, and welcome to the Daily Blueprint. I'm Hannah Moldavan, Deputy Communications Director for the Democrats, and your host today. Now, if this is your first time joining us, you might be asking, what is the Blueprint? Donald Trump is counting on us to get distracted, but we're not falling for it. Every morning, we'll cut through the noise and give you the real story. What you need to know today that actually matters, what Democrats are doing about it, and how you can fight back and help Democrats win. Whether you're in the trenches of Democratic politics or just want the truth, this is your go-to spot. So let's get to work. First, if there's one thing you should pay attention to today, it's this. A new Quinnipiac poll shows how deeply unpopular Trump's proposed billionaire-first budget really is. 53% of Americans oppose it, and only 27% say they support it. And here's just a quick refresher about this bill. This bill would kick 16 million Americans off their health insurance, add $3 trillion to the deficit, and raise mortgages between $600 to $1,200 per year for homeowners. All so that Trump can give his billionaire buddies a massive tax cut. Here's what you can do right now to keep the pressure on Republicans who support this bill. If your state has a Republican senator, call them and tell them to vote no. Text call to 43367 and get their phone number and a script. And now here's a rundown of what you need to know today. Weather forecasters are predicting that this hurricane season will be particularly intense, with a higher than average number of hurricanes. But just 1 week ago, Trump's head of FEMA said he didn't know that the United States even had a hurricane season. And now Trump is doubling down on plans to phase out FEMA entirely, without offering any plan for how states would handle emergencies on their own. And if that wasn't crazy enough, Trump's EPA is going to make it possible for power plants to emit more mercury, arsenic, lead, and other toxic substances into our air, exposing us to deadly toxins that can cause cancer. Someone needs to remind Trump that EPA stands for Environmental Protection Agency, not Environmental Pollution Agency. And with an eye to the states, yesterday, the Pennsylvania House Republican leader repeated multiple times that not all jobs should pay livable wages.
Not every wage, and please hear me clearly on this, not every wage is designed to be a livable wage.
Talk about a mask off moment. Now, for Democrats on offense. This past Tuesday was another election day. In legislative special elections in Oklahoma and Florida, Democrats overperformed in ruby red districts and clinched victories. In Oklahoma's House District 71, Democrat Amanda Clinton delivered a stunning 50-point overperformance, winning nearly 85% of the vote in the 2025 special election. That means that in 2025, Democrats or Democratic-aligned candidates have won or overperformed in a whopping 32 out of 33 key elections this year. And in a Senate Judiciary hearing on the Hill yesterday, California Senator Alex Padilla called out Trump's abuses of power. Let's watch.
By last Friday, Trump was drowning in negative headlines. And so just as he's done throughout the years, when all else fails, when everything is going bad, he turns to the same tired playbook. Attack immigrants. Blame immigrants. And manufacture a crisis to try to change the news cycle.
Senator Padilla hit the nail on the head. When Trump is getting bad press, for example, the really terrible polling about his economic plan to gut the American economy and give a massive transfer of wealth to the richest 1%, he tries to regain control of the narrative by pointing fingers at anyone but himself. Now, also on Capitol Hill, Senators Amy Klobuchar and Catherine Cortez Masto hosted a hearing alongside Congresswoman Catherine Clark and Debbie Dingell to hear directly from women across the country about how Trump's budget bill will hurt them.
In addition, the bill will increase grocery costs for millions of Americans, disproportionately hurting women who make up more than 60% of SNAP participants. In fact, about 4 in 10 single moms receive SNAP.
They heard from women like Nancy Baker Curtis, who spoke about how the budget cuts would affect healthcare for her son, Charlie.
We're absolutely terrified about what these federal funding cuts could mean for our family. If they go through, Charlie, he could lose everything. And we have fought for years to get these services. I've worked really hard as the president of the ARC of Iowa to share our story with elected officials. I've attended town halls with Senator Grassley. I couldn't get 5 minutes with him so that he would meet my son, so that he would know his name, Charles William Curtis.
They also heard from women like Katina Moss, who is one of 630,000 Virginians who has health care thanks to Medicaid expansion, and talked about how protecting Medicaid is a women's rights issue. Let's listen to Katina.
The purpose of these cuts to Medicaid, which would be the largest in our nation's history, is to fund tax breaks for billionaires. And some Republicans say these cuts do not go far enough. As the Senate prepares to make changes to this big, ugly bill, I want to put a face to the harm these cuts could cause. Women like me rely on Medicaid for our health care. And the people who rely on us for care want the program to be strengthened, not cut.
Hearing these stories, you cannot ignore the damage this bill would do to families across the country. Republicans should be ashamed. Now, speaking of Trump's billionaire-first budget, Senator Chuck Schumer called out the big, ugly bill yesterday for its provision that would kill over 800,000 clean energy jobs and add $170 billion to Americans' household energy costs.
On jobs, their bill would kill over 800,000 good-paying clean energy jobs by 2030 alone. That would be a disaster for the economy, just as clean energy is taking off. These jobs will last for generations. Clean energy tax credits made them possible, and 85% of the investment generated by these credits have gone to red states. Did you hear that, Republican colleagues? If Republicans proceed with the bill, they'll put Americans out of work in their own states.
And as these Trump-endorsed clean energy cuts push energy costs higher, Americans will struggle to afford to keep their homes cool amidst what we expect to be an overwhelmingly above normal heat this summer. And tomorrow, the DNC will host a town hall with former Veteran Affairs Secretary Dennis McDonough and Representative Kelly Morrison for veterans and military personnel in Minnesota. This is the latest in the DNC's People's Town Hall series, where the DNC and the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee have worked together to host 130 town halls in 48 states this year alone. If Republicans won't listen to their constituents, then Democrats will. And in what you can do today, now that Trump's billionaire-first budget has passed the House, Senate Republicans continue discussions this week to lay the groundwork for devastating cuts to healthcare and food assistance. Republicans have made it clear they don't care if their own constituents live or die as long as the rich get richer. So if your state has a Republican senator, give them a call and ask them to vote no. Text call to 43367 to get their phone number and a script. And Trump and Elon Musk are desperate to dominate the headlines with petty feud and clickbait chaos. But instead of falling for it, we need you to post and share content about the issues that will affect people's lives. Text post to 43367 to get content you can share to help break through the noise and hold Republicans accountable. And thank you for joining us today for this episode of the Daily Blueprint. We'll be with you right here every day during the week at 10 a.m. Eastern on the DNC's YouTube page. Until tomorrow.